All right, how's everybody else doing out there? Welcome back to Real Estate Bites, my friends. We come at you every Friday at noon during the lunch hour, bringing you some good news, some industry insights, and of course our statistics. So we've asked the question a lot of ourselves, in this first quarter, when are prices going to come down, et cetera, et cetera. And I've contended that I don't think they're going to. I think that they're going to remain flat. And if the Fed is going to cut rates again, which they're supposed to, then I anticipate seeing prices go up. So I wanted to show you a couple things before I jump into statistics, and then just to kind of nail home that point that I've been trying to make. So my boy Jay, who was on last week, he sent this to me, and I just wanted you guys to take a look at this. So what we're looking at here is this buyer activity index and the price direction index in the Midwest. As you can see, our little heart-shaped land of glory is right there on the easternmost portion of the Midwest in the purplish bluish color. And you can see that in March of last year, the buyer activity index was 47. So you can see on the top right corner here, above 50 equals expansion or growth, right? And below 50 equals contraction. So they are looking at buyer activity to expand here at the end of the first quarter, and even more so into the summer. And you can see the price direction index. This, by the way, this comes from MBS Highway, which is a subsidiary of CoreLogic, and these two companies just gather as much market data as they can, and they come up with nifty little graphs and charts and statistics like we're looking at here. The price direction index, according to them, last year they saw it as positive, as expanding or growing. And this year you can see 64 and 69 for February and March of this year. That's happening. The prices are starting to climb according to MBS, and they anticipate it doing more so later in the year. Another little thing that I found earlier today when I was looking through my my Google alerts was this little article here on Market Watch. So this was they did a little interview with Blackstone Group President John Gray. Blackstone being one of the large funds and investment funds that bought a ton of real estate post-pandemic. One of the major contributors to this lack of inventory. He says now is the time to invest in property, as real estate prices have already bottomed out and will soon start to recover. So there's a guy that's very close to big money and the banking system. He believes that prices have bottomed out and will soon start to recover and or go up again, right? And down here, he says, let me make sure I got that on. He says, as investors, you miss it by being overly cautious. And I think now is probably a good time before rates come down to move. So again, just a couple things to sort of drive that home. He's anticipating that if the Fed cuts rates, it's going to create a more competitive marketplace, and that's only going to drive prices a little bit higher. So today on the program, I have invited a guest, York Sabo of Intelligent Inspections, and we're going to talk about home inspections, why they're important, what's most important about them, and what's maybe a little less important. Before we do that, though, of course, we are going to look at last week's statistics. All right, so here we are, episode 33. There are currently 319 units. That is single family and condominiums. Same as last week, 319 units actively on the market in Lorain County. Last week, we jumped up 20 sold units from 44 to 64 this past week. The median square foot for sales last week was $1,775. The median home value was $208,000. The median square foot price was $141.32. Average days spent on the market was 45. And this morning, the market woke up with a 7.02% interest rate for a 30-year conventional note. So we ticked up 10 basis points from a week ago. The winner of the highest sale for the last week was in Columbia Station and sold at $950,000. Now, over the past few weeks, I have kind of really brushed over this particular stat that I go through because, you know, we see a lot of new construction or whatever in Avon Lake and it all kind of looks the same. It's kind of pretty boring, but Columbia Station never disappoints me when they win this honor of the highest sale of the week. And this week is no different down on Eagle Point. Let me show you this beauty in Columbia Station. All right, this gorgeous brick colonial. Take a look here. 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, 6,435 square feet on a 2-acre lot. It was built in 2006 and sold at $148 per square foot. So that is right in line with the median square foot cost that we've been looking at. But let's get into this home. I love this place. What a great shot. So this is virtual staging, right? These tables and chairs are digital. They don't really exist. The mirror on the wall is digital. And you'll see furniture here in these first few pics. It's digitally staged, but they did a fantastic job with it. The photographer did a fantastic job. I love this view through the French doors. I love here you have the double tray ceiling with the crown mold. I love the different textures. You have the different paint color on the first tray, the different texture on the inner tray. Just an absolutely beautiful dining room. Big giant windows to let in a lot of natural light. I love me some coffered ceilings too, and those are absolutely beautiful in the kitchen. The kitchen is remarkable. You will see another image a little bit later on in this picture slideshow, but what a gorgeous place. Coffered walls even, big beautiful double mantle fireplace, gas fireplace, big gigantic windows letting in all that natural sunlight. I love how the coffered walls come down and then tie into the casing around this large walkthrough here. Just another beautiful architectural feature of this home. Master bedroom with vaulted ceilings, coffered all the way, even on the angles, right? I love their use of transom windows, both exterior transom windows as well as interior transom windows. Just this place is just down to every detail, absolutely beautifully done. You get a shot at the backyard, nice big in-ground pool. You've got this pool house / rec room here. Here's a great shot of it. Big, beautiful home, in-ground pool, fire pit here with a screen to protect you from the madness that might be happening there at the pool. You have your pool house / rec room here, and a half-court basketball court next to it. What an amazing property. There you see the transom windows over top of the French doors leading into that dining room. Beautiful architectural features all the way throughout. I love that tiled hood. Big, beautiful master. What is this funny little room, you might be asking? That's your master closet, folks. Big bench for putting on your shoes. You stage them here, right? That's your master closet that leads into this gigantic master bathroom. Everything about this place is just beautiful. And then you get here and you're like, what is this? Formica countertops? A fiberglass surround? This is obviously the kids' room. Keep moving through. Let's get to the basement. Knotty pine everywhere. Beautiful fireplace right in the middle of the basement. They even wrapped the steel support columns in something that matches the wood theme throughout. All right. So that was last week's big dog in Columbia Station, sold at $950,000. Before we bring Ulrich on, we've got to go and visit our real estate meme of the week. Let's take a look at this. Buyers, I hope interest rates don't get any higher. And interest rates be like, bow, wow, wow, yippee, yo, yippee, yay. That one's for you, Stevie. The meme of the week. All right, very good, very good. So right now, I'm going to bring into the studio Mr. Yolrick Sabo
How you
of
doing?
Intelligent Home Inspections. How are you, sir?
Good.
Very good. So Yolrick is, for those out there, Yolrick is a good friend. He is my go-to guy when I am looking at and analyzing my own personal investments. And he is one of my go-to consultants for business and life in general. So Yolrick, man, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, great to be here.
Right on. So Yolrick is a home inspector, obviously, and that's why we brought him on to talk home inspections. When I take buyers into a home, they're looking, they're beelining to the kitchen, they're going, to the bathrooms, they're looking at the size of the bedroom. Of course they are, and those are things that obviously they want to take into consideration. But there's a lot of things that are kind of important details that they pay zero attention to. I always want to go to the basement first. I want to go see what this foundation looks like, what the walls look like. And sometimes it's hard to get them down there because they're already picturing their lifestyle in the living room and in the kitchen. So what do you think as an inspector that you've seen in your experience that are often overlooked aspects of a home that agents and buyers should be checking out when they go for their showing?
Oh, I mean, I agree with you. The number one thing is the foundation. It's so easy when you're emotional and you're excited and the house looks pretty and all you want to do is work. But, the foundation, I've never found a great, an inexpensive way to remedy those things. It's always expensive. It's always arduous. It's never fun. And being owning rental properties myself and always looking, I like to like I like the first thing I'll view the roof. A lot of times you can like people overlook like the chimney, and that can be all damaged, and it's easy. Half the time you just take a look visually up there, you can see there's problems there, which means the roof may leak, which is another big expense. But I go there first, and then I go right down. I like to look at the foundations, or if it's a crawl space, I like to walk around and see if I find any soft spots or anything like that, because there's another issue, where to fix a crawl space is you got to jack up the house, you got to take care of that wood.
Yeah, I carry a flashlight to all my showings, and I would recommend anybody out there who's looking to buy a house to bring your own flashlight in case your agent doesn't have one, because obviously that's going to help you see some of those spaces. If there is a crawl with access inside the house, pull that access panel up, poke your head down there, take a look around, see what you see. Another thing that I tend to look for all the time. If there's closets that are on the perimeter of a building, oftentimes when people are getting market ready, and let's say they do a quick paint job or something to freshen up the house, preparing it for market, a lot of times they'll not do the closets because they're
Oh, for
annoying,
sure.
and they just don't want to do it. They want to not spend the time inside of a closet. So they may be able to cover up water spots inside the bedroom, but if they're overlooking the closet, there's oftentimes you'll see a fresh coat of paint in the bedroom, and then I'll look in the closet and it won't be touched, and I can find water spots up there. You mentioned the roof, Yolrick, and I'm going to admit to you that I never climb on the roof in a showing, and
Sure.
I'm also going to admit that I'm probably never going to do that. But what I will do is go into an attic, which oftentimes it's weird that even if there's a pull down ladder, clients sometimes don't even want to take a look. But if you're poking your head up into an attic, what should you be looking for?
You should be looking for like black spots on the wood. That's the easiest thing to spot. That's just like a sign of discolored wood. That's an easy sign that you'll see that something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep. Another thing too is around chimney stacks where the chimneys are exiting the
yeah,
building.
that's the first place I usually look, in the attic.
Right. Right. If that flashing is bad, you'll see a lot of activity happening around that chimney stack.
Oh yeah, for sure. The other thing people don't think about is two things: is the grading and trees. So for instance, a while ago, I was looking at a house that I wanted to buy myself, and I looked to the left of me and the right of me and then the back of me, and the neighbors were all higher than that particular property. So it was a nice summer day when we looked, but like if that would have been a rainy spring day or fall day, I'm guessing that that thing flooded 9 times out of 10 in the heavy rain, and it's because it's just the way the whole building's graded, and to make that sort of adjustment or fix has got to be really tough.
That's an amazing point. Seeing a negative grade heading towards your foundation can be a very big deal. At a minimum, right? If you have a basement or even a crawl that has a sump pump in it, and when it's wet, that sump pump is going to run constantly,
Mhm.
constantly. And that may be more energy, that may be motors burning out faster, more replacements of sump pumps. And, God forbid if that sump pump fails in the middle of a storm or your power goes out and you don't have a battery backup, you're in trouble. You're throwing out some stuff that you got stored down there in that basement.
Oh, the same thing with big old trees next to your house. They're beautiful, but
Mm.
they can get into your sewer lines. They can affect your foundation, your driveway. They're beautiful, but they can be expensive too. I like them further away from the house.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And pine trees, they hit the foundation and they find the path of least resistance and kind of climb next to it. Still not good because they're allowing more water to get down there. But
Hmm.
those big hardwoods, they want to go through the wall.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
So, all right, man, when you generate your report, and I have seen inspection reports as short as 4 pages handwritten, which is like you just don't see that anymore. That's a
No.
practice from the 80s. And I've seen reports as long as 120 pages. They're usually between 50 and 80 pages, depending on what's in there, right? But oftentimes they can scare the crap out of buyers, especially first time buyers who are really, really skittish about what they're getting into, the amount of responsibility. But they don't have to be. And so, there's so many things that you as an inspector have to put into the report to make sure that you're covered and protected. Like if you see a roof that is clearly not brand new, that's got some age to it, you're going to put something in that report like, nearing the end of its useful life, or, if you see a furnace that's clearly been around a long time, you're going to need to put some verbiage in there about having someone to come and inspect it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that those systems are failing, right?
I think it's more like I like to explain to the clients a lot of my findings. So we'll take a furnace for instance. I'll say yes, the furnace is older and it could go tomorrow, but it could also go 10 years from now. And I also explain how maybe they're not as energy efficient, but a lot of older furnaces are much easier to fix and are much more durable than a lot of these newer furnaces that are coming online. They just don't last as long. So it's really on how it's running in that moment. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, I can't predict the future, but if you look at how clean the unit is, the flames are blue, there's no rusting on the inside. I always tell people to keep it as long as they can. Um, Honestly, that's like a really good for instance. Another good for instance would be um, just because, just like um, knob and tube is what I'm trying to say. Knob and tube wiring. I always look at the condition of the wiring. Doesn't mean just because it's old. I know it's not code, like you couldn't do it today, but some of that knob and tube wiring looks brand new. You don't necessarily have to replace it. It's not going to burn down your house.
Hmm. What are some of the most common sort of violations, for lack of a better word, that you end up putting in a report?
A lot of it, like simple ones, generally like the GFCI doesn't work or they're not in. But code today, you have to put them in garages, you have to put them in the laundry room, anywhere there's water, and a lot of time, most of the times they're in the bathroom and they're in the kitchen, but a lot of other places they're not. That would probably be the most common. One of the ones that's probably most overlooked is the plumbing.
Mm.
It's easy to find a small leak in the plumbing that maybe the buyer or the seller, I'm sorry, the seller never even noticed because it's so minuscule.
Mm.
A lot of times an easy trick is I try to find the highest point of the house and I turn the bathtub on because got the most pressure, and I just let it run for a while. And then I go look and I go where I can find the plumbing and just kind of scope it out. And a lot of times you'll find little small drips, but they are still drips.
Okay, so you saying during the showing, maybe run the water through your sinks and let it run for 60 seconds, come back and take a look and see if anything's dripping.
Yeah, go down to where like the water heater is and the main shutoff is and take a quick look. It's an easy, but I know that's tough too because what if you're going to look at four houses that day and some people I'm sure some people don't want to go through those exercises every single time.
Yeah, the other thing that's tough about doing something like that is, as an agent, um, the conduct of my clients is my responsibility when I'm showing a home. So I'm tending to stick right with them, right? Because I don't necessarily expect them all to do something wrong, but if they did, if they tamper with something and make a mistake or break something on accident or whatever it might be, it's on me. It's on me, the agent. So it's kind of difficult to run those experiments and stick with your clients at the same time. Talk to me about ungrounded outlets. Like if people plug their appliance into an ungrounded outlet, is the house going to burn down the next day?
No, not at
No.
all. No.
I,
I mean, even the two plug outlets are an inconvenience. But going back to the wiring, if the wiring is, if there's like sheathing around the wiring, and that's what I always generally go by. It's like if it's unraveling, then we got an issue because then something could touch that and then touch and then touch the positive and the ground or the negative. I mean, and then boom, you got a fire, and that's how those things happen generally. Especially in like what it usually happens is in the attic. You get an animal in there, or it's worn out, and then the insulation will touch it. That's like a really common way for that to happen.
okay. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I have seen buyers scared out of their wits because an inspector talks to them about ungrounded outlets and leaves them thinking that the house is going to burn down at any time. Granted, the house has had ungrounded outlets for the past 70 years and it's still standing there. We're standing in the middle of it, but they think it's going to burn down any day now.
Well, as you know, kind of like yourself, like we kind of live like not only do I do inspections, but I have rental properties. So I've had to, by the school of hard knocks, find out what works and what doesn't work sometimes, and that's
Mhm.
never been an issue for me. And I have older homes, and some of them are replaced, and some of them I haven't. It just really depends on, like I said, the wiring. That's how I go by it.
Very good. So you mentioned earlier grade. You mentioned chimney and the health and condition of the chimney. What are some other things, some other problem areas that come up in your inspections that you think maybe buyers tend to underrate the importance of them?
Um, Sometimes, well, I think honestly, it goes back to the foundation sometimes, especially in crawl spaces. I am surprised on sometimes I'll find, the conditions of the crawl space and what it could, nothing did happen, but what it could happen. Just like the wood being a little wet and soft in spots, and people just not thinking much of it. And that's the foundation of the house. That's the one that generally surprises me the most, honestly, is the foundation issues that people will still run with something with foundation. Scares me.
I get it. I get it. And I've seen both ways. I've seen very minor foundation issues scare people away. And I've seen people totally ignore buckling walls and things, that just, or clear wet spots in the corner where you can just tell that even if it's not raining right now, you can tell that that corner of the foundation wall is soaking wet. It's starting to come through the block. It's causing the that what is it, efflorescence, what is it,
Yeah,
efflorescence,
effervescence.
and then it's creating, they might have some sort of dry lock or something, and that's starting to fail and fall off because it's so wet all the time, and they just will ignore it. But that's another reason why you got to bring a flashlight, because sometimes they're in corners that you can't see very well, right? Yalric, man, it's about that time to wrap this up.
Okay.
We're here
Okay,
on
sounds good.
26 minutes. I really appreciate you giving me time, and
Okay.
we'll do this again, man. Thank you.
Okay, sounds great. Anytime.
All right. Have a great day, Yalric. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
All right. That's it for today, everybody. I appreciate you joining me again. Look, take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. I love you, people.